On April 2, 2025, the US government announced a sweeping new policy, a 25% tariff on all ready-for-use medications imported from Canada. This move marked a dramatic shift in trade relations between the two countries, targeting a vital sector that millions of Americans rely on every day. For years, a special exemption allowed these drugs to cross the border tariff-free, helping keep prescription costs manageable for countless American families, especially seniors and those with chronic conditions. The stated goal of the new tariff? To encourage pharmaceutical manufacturing to return to U.S. soil, boosting domestic production and reducing the nation's dependence on foreign-made medicines. Supporters argued this policy would create thousands of new jobs, strengthen national health security, and ensure a more stable supply of critical medications in times of crisis. But critics quickly pointed out that the global drug supply chain is highly complex and deeply interconnected. They warned that tariffs could disrupt access, drive up prices, and even trigger shortages for millions of patients who depend on affordable medication. The new policy targeted $3 billion in annual trade, and about 400 different medications, many of which are essential generics used to treat everything from diabetes to heart disease. Unlike other industries, pharmaceuticals are not luxury goods. They are life-sustaining products, making the consequences of disruption far more serious and personal for millions. As the tariff took effect, both US and Canadian healthcare systems braced for impact, facing a period of uncertainty and debate over whether the potential benefits would truly outweigh the significant risks to public health. To truly grasp the impact of the new tariff, it's important to first understand the unique and often underappreciated role that Canada plays in America's medicine cabinet. Canada isn't just a neighbor, it's a crucial partner in ensuring that millions of Americans have access to the medications they need when they need them. While the United States imports pharmaceuticals from countries all over the globe, Canada stands out as a key supplier of affordable generic drugs. In fact, nearly 80% of the 400 Canadian drug products shipped to the US are generics, making Canada an essential source for cost-effective treatments. These generic medications are used to treat a wide range of conditions, from high blood pressure and diabetes to common infections and chronic illnesses, helping to keep healthcare costs manageable for millions of families across the country, and ensuring that life-saving treatments remain within reach for those who need them most. For some critical drugs, like the widely used antibiotic amoxicillin, Canada supplies more than a quarter of the total US demand, making it a linchpin in the fight against infections. And for 28 essential medications, Canada is the only foreign source available to American patients, highlighting just how irreplaceable this supply chain is. The US-Canada pharmaceutical supply chain is not only efficient, but also deeply integrated, having been built and refined over decades of close cooperation and trust. Disrupting this delicate balance with a sudden 25% tariff risked triggering immediate price hikes for consumers, and even causing shortages, especially for those drugs where no alternative suppliers exist, leaving patients vulnerable. Canada's expertise in producing finished drug formulations, combined with its rigorous quality standards, makes it an indispensable partner in the US healthcare system. By imposing the tariff, the US gambled with a vital lifeline, threatening access to affordable, essential medicines for countless American patients who depend on them every day. The stakes were incredibly high, and the risks were both immediate and deeply personal for families across the nation. The effects of the tariff were swift and severe. Drug costs surged, adding an estimated $750 million in annual expenses to the US healthcare system, costs that quickly trickled down to patients. Those relying on daily generics faced higher copays and out-of-pocket costs, sometimes forcing impossible choices between medicine and basic needs. Hospitals, already stretched thin, struggled with rising procurement costs for critical drugs like antibiotics. The tariff also triggered supply chain chaos, threatening shortages for over 400 medications, 28 of which had no backup supplier. Stockpiling by large distributors only worsened disparities, leaving smaller pharmacies scrambling. Patients faced delays, were forced onto pricier or less effective alternatives, and risked new side effects. Instead of securing the drug supply, the tariff brought instability, higher costs, and real threats to patient care. The timing couldn't have been worse. America was already facing a record 323 active drug shortages in early 2024, mostly for generics. Pharmacies across the country were struggling to keep their shelves stocked, and patients were already feeling the impact of missing medications. Doctors and pharmacists were forced to make difficult choices every day, trying to stretch limited supplies and prioritize the sickest patients. The tariff didn't cause the crisis, but it poured fuel on the fire, making a bad situation worse. Instead of providing relief, the new policy added another layer of stress and uncertainty for everyone involved in healthcare. Many of the drugs in short supply were the same generics targeted by the tariff, further squeezing already thin margins and discouraging Canadian manufacturers from serving the U.S. market. With higher costs and more red tape, some suppliers simply stopped shipping to the U.S., shrinking the pool of available medications even further. Hospitals were forced to ration care, delay treatments, and scramble for alternatives. Medical teams spent precious hours searching for substitutes, often settling for less effective or more expensive options. For patients, this meant delayed chemotherapy, unavailable insulin, and growing uncertainty. Families waited anxiously for news, never sure if the next dose would arrive in time. The policy penalized a reliable partner at the worst possible moment, compounding a public health emergency. Instead of working together to solve the crisis, the two countries found themselves at odds, with patients caught in the middle. Instead of stabilizing the supply chain, the tariff introduced new chaos and risk. Hospitals and clinics faced mounting pressure as they tried to adapt to the rapidly changing landscape. The healthcare community saw it as a reckless move that deepened the crisis for patients and providers alike, leaving many to wonder how much worse things could get before real solutions were found. The tariff supporters envisioned a boom in U.S. drug manufacturing, but building pharmaceutical factories isn't quick or easy. Modern plants take years to plan, construct, and certify, with strict FDA oversight at every step. For example, a facility announced in 2024 won't produce medicine until at least 2029. Beyond construction, there's a shortage of skilled workers needed to run these complex operations. Tariffs do nothing to address workforce gaps or the massive investment required. The immediate result? Higher costs and supply instability, with any benefits years away, if they come at all. Experts argued for a smarter approach: direct subsidies, tax incentives, and investment in workforce training, like the CHIPS Act for semiconductors. Simply making imports more expensive doesn't build a domestic drug industry overnight. While the U.S. struggled with the fallout, Canada seized the moment to strengthen its own pharmaceutical sector. With U.S. demand down, Canadian manufacturers focused on serving their domestic market, insulating themselves from shortages. The Canadian government rolled out incentives, grants, tax credits, and streamlined regulations to boost local drug production and innovation. Canada also expanded its reach, forging new trade partnerships in Europe, Asia, and Latin America. The tariff, meant to punish, instead pushed Canada to diversify and modernize its industry. By October 2025, Canada's pharmaceutical sector was more robust and globally competitive than ever. The U.S. policy had backfired, giving Canada a springboard for growth. Sometimes adversity breeds opportunity, and Canada was quick to adapt. In the wake of chaos, experts agreed tariffs were the wrong cure for America's drug supply woes. Their top recommendation: exempt all pharmaceuticals from tariffs to stabilize prices and restore access. Real security, they argued, requires targeted incentives, tax credits, grants, and direct investment to build advanced manufacturing at home. Instead of total self-sufficiency, the focus should be on friend-shoring, deepening partnerships with reliable allies like Canada. A North American pharmaceutical pact could harmonize regulations, coordinate production, and create a shared stockpile of essential medicines. Canada, meanwhile, was urged to keep investing in innovation and capacity, especially in biologics and vaccines. Both countries needed to invest in transparency and real-time data sharing to anticipate and prevent shortages. The path forward was clear: collaboration, not isolation, is the key to health security. The U.S. pharmaceutical tariff experiment proved costly and counterproductive, raising prices and worsening shortages. The lesson: in healthcare, protectionism can do more harm than good. The solution now is to dismantle trade barriers and restore the flow of affordable medicines between the U.S. and Canada. By repealing the tariff, the U.S. can quickly ease pressure on patients and providers. Long-term, the two nations should build a resilient North American health security bloc, coordinating policies, sharing resources, and leveraging each other's strengths. Medicine knows no borders, and neither should the solutions to public health challenges. The health of millions depends on renewed cooperation, transparency, and a shared commitment to ensuring no patient is left without the medicine they need.